Yo, what is up, everybody? Welcome back once again to the Real Nerdy Review. Your boy is back with a brand new video, and if you're new here, please hit that like and subscribe button. My second video of the day, so please hit that like and subscribe button for me, people. Watch my videos from beginning to end. Let's get into it. So, the Rippaverse currently in the middle of the Horseman, debut. Basically, is what's going on, and a lot of people have been sitting back and wondering. When are we going to get ISOM 3? We've heard a bunch of different announcements from Eric July as far as like the Horseman and everything else that he had going on. But when are we going to get ISOM 3? In my personal opinion, do I plan on getting the Horseman? Yes, eventually. Maybe I have to buy it off eBay or some third-party seller. But I do eventually plan on getting the Horseman. But the comic book I really want to get is ISOM 3. Now, I have not been watching any of his live streams or watched any of his short videos talking about it, but I do want to know, when are we going to get ISOM 3? The reason I want to get the Horseman is because I do like the idea of a grounded title. It seems like the Horseman is maybe a hero or maybe somewhere in the middle between of an anti-hero. I do like the look of the character. I think it looks really badass. But I really want that ISOM 3 book. I haven't really bought any other comic books that the Rippaverse has been dropping lately. I think the last one I bought was Yara. I'm trying to think of any other comic book that he's had drop recently before the Horseman. And there hasn't been anything else. I know he's had that kind of adventure character comic book that he dropped. I skipped that one. From what I've heard, some people liked it, some people didn't. It was kind of a mixed bag of reactions. So I'm kind of just sitting out and waiting for the ISOM 3. And I gotta say, it's been really surprising to see the direction that the Rippaverse has taken recently, because before, they were dropping comics maybe once or twice a year, and now it feels like they're really ramping it up where they're dropping multiple comics a year, which I believe what Eric July had planned on doing. And I believe he also talked about dropping an app eventually. I wouldn't be surprised if it drops in the next year or two, once he got all the bugs and everything cleared out. And, it's good to see something come from the ground up when it comes from the Rippaverse, because a lot of comic book fans, it's hard to get into comic books because when you look at, Marvel and DC, there are so many different stories. It is hard to jump in and know where to go. And the job that Eric July and his team has been doing, putting out consistently, has been good. But at the same time, they do have to work on making sure the comic books tell a good story, and making sure they're checking off the boxes and making sure they're checking every single detail for wording, for, just the coloring, the pictures. And I think one of the main issues is that Eric July has had one too many cooks in the kitchen. Because when I look at some of the comic books at the store done by Marvel and DC and everything else, they usually have maybe like one or two writers, or people who draw the pictures, or people who coloring. And when you look at the Rippaverse, they have multiple people working on their projects, multiple cooks in the kitchen. And it makes me wonder, maybe that's why we are not getting ISOM 3. Maybe Eric July is still working on the story. Maybe he has some other characters that he wants to put out before he gets to that character. But I honestly want to see ISOM 3 sooner rather than later, because he's really the big face of the Rippaverse brand. Even though Eric July says there really isn't a face and everybody kind of share the responsibility, he is really the big face of the Rippaverse brand. ISOM is the face of the company. And as the face, it's been too long since we've gotten an ISOM comic book. We saw, ISOM 2 dropping, I believe, in 2022. Or maybe it's 2023. I can't remember exactly. And now here we are in 2024, and we've gotten very little update on when ISOM is going to drop. I'd be surprised if it drops this year. I don't think we're going to get it in this last campaign, because I do believe that he has Bloodruth dropping right now. So we're basically going to have to wait until 2025 before we get the comic book. I hope that it does drop earlier in the part of 2025, like at the beginning, and not in the middle, not at the end, because it's going to make a lot of people upset, knowing they're going to have to go back and read ISOM 2 to kind of get a real refresher on where the story is going to go for ISOM 3. And I do wonder about the big picture, about how all of these stories connect. I know Eric July has come out and said that the stories are basically kind of, they're told in their own time. But I do wonder, what is the big connection about all these stories and how they're all going to connect at the end of the day. I have tried to keep some type of hope when it comes to the Rippaverse that Eric July is going to get better with each comic book, with each story, but I do believe that there's been a lot of cooks in the kitchen, and that is one of the reasons that the Rippaverse has had some issues. Would I like to see it get better? Of course. I believe that there's always room for new heroes, new villains, new stories to be told. There's always independent comic books being dropped. But when it comes to Rippaverse, it has been one of the biggest independent comic books that has been dropping because of the fact that it's coming from Eric July, who's a very controversial figure when it comes to his comic book video talks, his movie talks, and his political views. He has a huge following. He has a huge following, but he also has a huge following of negative people who wish downfall on Eric July's Rippaverse, or are constantly dropping videos talking mess about his Rippaverse comic books. And I would like to see him get better. I like to see them improve. I really believe that Eric should take some of the criticism that he gets from fans and that he gets from, other people outside of his circle and take it to heart. Because if all he's listening to is a circle, which I get it, you don't want to have too many ears, too many people in your ear. I feel like that's only going to make things worse, especially if he says he listens to the fans. Then that's one of the main things that he should be taking some criticism from. Not everybody, but just some. The people who are really dialed in and really understand comic books, let me just say it that way. Those people he should really be taking criticism from and really applying it to his ISOM 3 comic book and all his future comic books going forward. In particular, Mike Partika. He does a really good job. I've said it time and time again in videos and live streams of breaking down the Rippaverse comic books and really dissecting the story. I honestly believe, in my personal opinion, Mike Partika should be hired on as a personal consultant. I know that'll probably never happen. I'd be surprised if it ever did, but I highly doubt it, just because of the detail that he really pays attention to. But that is just my opinion on that. I really want to see the Rippaverse succeed and do better, but I know it's going to take a lot of work, and I know it's going to take a lot of time. And like I said, my biggest question right now is, where is ISOM 3? When are we going to get it? I believe it's going to come maybe in the early and middle parts of 2025, because I believe the longer Eric July waits, I believe that the less fans are going to care. It's basically already been a whole year since we've had it, and there really hasn't been a lot of people asking about it. I know I'm one. I don't know if anybody else has, but we've gotten other consistent books. Maybe that's why people haven't been asking, because Eric July has been dropping other consistent stories within the Rippaverse universe. But I do want to know y'all thoughts on the current state of Rippaverse. Are y'all looking forward to getting ISOM 3? Post your comments down below. Let me know what you all think. ISOM 3, are y'all looking forward to getting it next year, or are y'all less interested? And what is your thoughts on the current state of the Rippaverse? Post those comments down below. Let me know what you all think, and I'll catch you on the next video. Like, comment, subscribe. 2,000 subscribers. Peace. I'm out.